You've probably felt it before. That quiet ache in your chest when you realize you care more than she does. You check your phone, hoping for a reply, and when it doesn't come, your mind starts spinning. Did you say something wrong? Is she losing interest? Should you text again? That knot in your stomach, that anxious loop, it's not just annoying, it's a signal. It's telling you that you've handed over the keys to your emotional well-being, and she's driving. Most men live in that fear every single day. They're terrified of losing a woman, so they chase, they cling, they overinvest, they show up too often, and they try way too hard. They think if they're just nice enough, available enough, giving enough, she'll finally see their worth and stay. But the more they do, the less she feels. Because attraction doesn't bloom from desperation, it withers under its weight. Women don't want a man who needs them. They want a man who can walk away. They want a man who values his own peace more than her approval, a man whose world won't crumble if she pulls back. In a world where women are flooded with likes, DMs, and attention from every direction, the guy who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg, who doesn't broadcast his every emotion, that man stands out like a lighthouse in a fog. Emotional strength is magnetic, not because it's a trick, but because it's a reflection of self-mastery. When you master yourself, the entire dynamic shifts. She starts leaning in, becoming curious, even pursuing. Because in a sea of men who throw themselves at her feet, the man who can walk away holds the real power. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today. Why this mindset changes everything, and how you can start living it right now. Let's start with the foundation, the principle that underpins every other truth we'll explore. Power attracts, neediness repels. This is where most men get it all wrong. They believe that if they're nicer, more available, more giving, more present, she'll want them more. But the brutal reality is that neediness repels. Every time you chase, every time you try to prove your worth, every time you over-invest in hopes of earning her affection, you lose power. And when you lose power, you lose attraction. Think about the men you've seen who seem to pull women in without even trying. It's rarely about chiseled jawlines or fat bank accounts. It's about presence, an emotional groundedness that says, I like you, but I don't need you. That inner frame is what draws women in like a magnet. Why? Because real emotional power is rare. Women may not articulate it, but they feel it instantly. When a man walks into a room with energy that signals he's complete with or without her, that energy is magnetic. But when he enters with nervous tension, hoping for her approval, trying to win her over, she feels that too, and it pushes her away. Most guys think the opposite. They imagine that showing constant care, being always available, never missing a chance to prove interest, will make her like them more. What they don't realize is that this behavior screams neediness, and nothing kills attraction faster. Women want to be chosen by a man who doesn't need them. That's the critical distinction. They don't want to feel like you're chasing because you lack options. They want to feel like you have a full, rich life and you've selected them because they meet your standards. That subtle shift changes everything. It comes from a mindset, a deep-rooted belief that you are whole with or without her. That's what Stoicism teaches us, the power to remain undisturbed by external events. As Epictetus wrote, no man is free who is not master of himself. And that mastery begins with how you view yourself. You're not disturbed by whether she responds fast enough or gives you attention unless you let yourself be. That's what separates a man of power from a man of neediness. The powerful man remains grounded. He likes her, sure, but he doesn't crave her validation. If she responds, great. If she pulls away, no problem. Because his life, his peace, his self-respect aren't on the line. The needy man, by contrast, is glued to his phone, replaying her words, anxious when she doesn't text back, constantly wondering if he did something wrong. That energy is heavy, and women feel it. And when they do, attraction fades. Here's another truth most men miss. When a woman senses that you need her more than she needs you, she starts to lose respect. And once respect is gone, attraction is gone too. It's not personal, it's nature. To build this power, you have to start with how you live. When your life is full, with purpose, goals, a strong mission. Your energy naturally shifts. You're no longer sitting around hoping for her text. You're building, moving forward. That creates emotional power because you're not placing your self-worth in her hands. Boundaries are another key. A man of power has standards. He doesn't tolerate disrespect. He doesn't beg for attention. If she pulls away or plays games, he walks, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, and that is deeply attractive. Women test men, consciously or unconsciously, to see if they can shake his frame, get under his skin, make him fold. When you stay grounded, when you show that nothing she does can pull you off center, that's when attraction grows, because now you're not reacting. You're choosing. And women crave men who choose, not men who chase. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Build your life, hold your frame, choose her, don't chase her, and you'll be amazed at how the dynamic shifts. Now let's talk about a move that most men never master, walking away. It sounds simple, but when emotions are involved, when you really like her, that's when it becomes one of the hardest things to do. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Respect isn't something you can buy with gifts or earn with effort. It's not about how many dinners you take her to or how often you show up. Respect is rooted in how you carry yourself, especially when things don't go your way. And nothing earns a woman's respect faster than a man who's willing to walk away when his standards aren't being met. Not out of ego, not as a game, but simply because he knows his worth. Most men hold on far too long. They tolerate behavior they shouldn't, stay silent when they should speak, and hope things will change. In the process, they lose all power. And here's the harsh truth. A woman cannot fully love a man she does not respect. You can be generous, loyal, and do everything right, but if you allow her to walk all over you, if you accept disrespect, she'll never see you the same way again. Deep down she knows this is not a man with a backbone. But flip it, a man who calmly walks away, who holds his standards even when she's testing him, that man stands out. He doesn't need to raise his voice or explain himself 10 times. He simply exits, and that energy, she feels it. It commands her attention. She might not say it out loud. She might even act cold at first, but deep down she respects it because very few men can do it. Most women will test your strength without even realizing it. It's instinct. She wants to know, will you fold? Will you abandon your standards? Will you sacrifice your peace just to keep her? When you stay grounded, when you walk away instead of begging, that's when respect is built. And respect is the foundation of everything. Without it, attraction dies. Now, let's address the fear that keeps most men stuck. They're terrified of losing her. They think, if I walk away, she'll move on, and I'll never get her back. But here's the truth. If a woman leaves because you held your standards, you didn't lose her. You freed yourself. And if she's a woman worth keeping, walking away will only increase her desire to step up, because now she knows you won't tolerate games, you won't be manipulated, you won't fold just to keep her around. That's when she starts thinking twice about how she treats you, because you've shown her that you value yourself first. And that's attractive. So when you feel disrespected, when you feel the energy shift, you don't beg, you don't explain, you don't argue. You walk calmly, quietly, with zero expectation. Not to punish her, not to get her back, but because your peace is non-negotiable. That's how you earn respect. That's how you flip the dynamic. And that's exactly the kind of man women can't forget. Next, let's dive into emotional control, because this is where even outwardly strong men often crumble. Emotional control is what separates the man she respects from the man she forgets. Women are emotional beings. That's part of what makes them so amazing. But they also live in an emotional world. And here's the key. She's drawn to a man who can navigate that world without getting pulled into the storm. When you react to her mood swings, when you let her tests shake you, when you lose your center, you stop being the safe, grounded presence she craves. Most guys crumble here. They get triggered, they argue, they plead, they try to fix her feelings, and the more they do that, the less attractive they become. Why? Because now she's in control. She sees you as emotionally weak, and that's a huge turn-off, even if she can't explain why. On the other side, a man who stays calm, who doesn't mirror her emotions, who remains centered even when she's spinning. That man is magnetic because he's rare. Women are wired to be drawn to strength, especially emotional strength. And this is where Stoicism gives us a powerful tool. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And when you waste your emotional energy on reactions that don't serve you, you're wasting the opportunity to remain powerful. You can't control her moods, you can't control life's ups and downs, but you can always control your response. When you do, you stand out. Women will test you, not because they're evil, but because they want to feel your strength. They want to know, can he handle me? Can he stay calm when I can't? And if the answer is yes, that's when she relaxes. That's when trust builds and attraction deepens on a level most men never reach. How do you develop this kind of control? It starts with self-awareness. Notice your triggers. What makes you react? What situations pull you off balance? Once you see the pattern, you can break it. Second, slow everything down. When emotions rise, breathe, give yourself space, respond rather than react. It's simple but profound. Third, detach from outcome. When you're attached to winning an argument or fixing her feelings, you've already lost control. But when you're okay, no matter what, when your peace isn't tied to her mood, you become unshakable. And that's the energy that draws her in, because women aren't looking for a perfect man. They're looking for a man who can handle life and handle them with calm strength. When you show up with that energy, you become the anchor, the man she can lean on emotionally, mentally, even physically. In today's world, where most men are ruled by their emotions, that's incredibly attractive. So ask yourself, are you mastering this, or are you still letting her moods dictate your frame? The more you practice emotional control, the more she'll feel it, the more she'll crave your presence, and the more the dynamic will shift in your favor. Now let's talk about scarcity, a concept most men completely misunderstand, and it costs them big time. Scarcity isn't about playing hard to get or ignoring her on purpose. It's about value. People obsess over what they can't easily have. It's human nature. When it comes to attraction, this dynamic is even stronger because the more available you are, the less she values your presence. Why? Because when you're always there, always responding, always chasing, you send one clear signal. I have nothing better going on, and that kills attraction. But when you're scarce, when your time is limited, when your presence isn't guaranteed, you flip the script. Now she's thinking about you, wondering what you're doing, and the obsession starts to build. But, and this is critical, it can't be fake. If you're pretending to be busy while sitting around thinking about her, she'll feel that. Women are intuitive. They know when it's real. That's why the foundation of scarcity is a life that pulls you forward. A purpose, a mission, a path you're walking with or without her. When that's your focus, you won't be available all the time naturally, because your time is valuable, and what's valuable becomes desirable. Think about a rare piece of art. It's not hanging in every shop window. It's not available to just anyone. That rarity creates obsession because the mind starts thinking, if I could just have it, I'd feel special. The exact same psychology applies to dating. When a woman senses that your attention is rare, that your time is limited, that not every woman gets access to you, that's when obsession starts. And why does this matter so much? Because we live in a world of abundance, of noise. She's constantly getting attention, likes, DMs, messages. Most men are flooding her with availability, but the man who is scarce, who values his time, who makes her work for his attention, that man stands out. Women value what they earn, not what's handed to them. And when she invests effort into getting your attention, when she wonders when she'll see you again, that's when emotional attachment grows. So how do you live this out? First, fill your life with purpose. If you're constantly available, it's because your schedule is empty. Fill it. Gym, work, business, hobbies, brotherhood. The more you build you, the less available you'll be. Second, be intentional with your time. Don't drop everything the moment she texts. Don't rearrange your plans just to be with her. That doesn't build attraction, it builds boredom. But when you keep your priorities, when you let her fit into your life rather than the other way around, you build desire. Third, be okay with space. You don't need constant contact or daily validation. Allowing space between interactions is what lets her think about you. And the more she thinks about you when you're not around, the more obsessed she becomes. That's the power of scarcity. But again, remember, this isn't about strategy. It's about mindset. A Stoic man isn't withholding his time to get a reaction. He's simply living his life first, and women sense that and are drawn to it. As Musonius Rufus said, if you accomplish something good with hard work, the labor passes quickly, but the good endures. The good you build in your own life endures, and that goodness is what makes you scarce in the best way. Let's now look at standards, because this is one of the biggest things that separates strong men from weak ones. You're always communicating your standards, whether you realize it or not, through what you tolerate, through what you allow, through how you respond when someone, especially a woman, tests you. The average guy is so afraid of rocking the boat that he has no standards. She cancels last minute. He shrugs it off. She takes hours or days to reply. He keeps messaging. She's disrespectful in public. He stays quiet. And all of that sends one message loud and clear: I'll tolerate anything just to keep you around. Now, here's the problem. No woman wants to be with a man who tolerates anything. She may use him, she may keep him around for a while, but deep down she doesn't respect him. And without respect, there's no real attraction. But flip that. When you show you have standards, when you calmly and firmly draw the line that commands respect, and that respect feeds attraction. Because now she's dealing with a man, not a boy, not another pushover, but a man who values himself. And women crave that energy. Having standards doesn't mean being rude or controlling. It's about knowing what you will and will not accept, and living that truth without apology or exception. For example, if she starts showing flaky behavior, disappearing, pulling away, playing games, what do? Most guys double down. They chase harder, try to win her back. But a man with standards pulls back or walks away. No anger, no drama, just a clear message. I don't tolerate low-effort energy. And that's powerful, because now she knows she can't get lazy with you, can't half-ass the connection, can't disrespect you without consequences. That changes how she interacts with you fast. Here's where Stoicism ties in. Epictetus wrote, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Decide who you are and live it. Decide what you'll tolerate and stick to it." When you bend your standards for a woman, even just a little, you start losing her respect, and the more you bend, the faster attraction fades. But when you hold your line, even when it's hard, that's when you show true strength, because most men won't do it. They fear losing her. But here's the truth. A woman who leaves because you had standards wasn't the right woman anyway. And a woman who's worth your time will respect you more for it. She'll step up or step aside. Either way, you win. So, how do you start showing you have standards? First, get clear. What's acceptable to you? What's a deal breaker? What behavior crosses the line? Know this before you enter any relationship. Second, enforce those standards calmly. You don't need to lecture or argue. Your actions say it all. When something crosses the line, you step back and you do it without guilt. Third, never compromise your standards out of fear. That's when you lose yourself and her respect. But when you stay true to your values, you become the kind of man she can't help but respect and desire. Now we come to the idea of flipping the script. In almost every dating dynamic today, the same tired script plays out. Guy meets girl, girl shows a little interest, guy gets hooked fast, suddenly he's texting all the time, chasing, rearranging his life for her. And she knows it, she feels it, and deep down she starts to lose interest. Why? Because the script is broken. He's giving all the energy. He's the one investing. He's making it too easy. And in that dynamic, she holds all the power. But what happens when you flip that script? When you become the man who's not chasing, not desperate, whose life is full, and who lets her prove herself? Everything changes, because suddenly she is the one leaning in, wondering, how do I get more of his attention? What does he think of me? Why isn't he chasing like every other guy? That shift, that flip, is where real attraction starts to build. But most men don't realize that flipping the script isn't about playing games. It's about becoming a man of true value. A man with options, with standards, whose life doesn't revolve around any one woman. When you embody that energy, the dynamic reverses naturally, because now you're no longer chasing validation. You're choosing from a place of abundance, and that's exactly what women are drawn to. How do you actually flip the script? First, slow down the chase. Stop sending endless texts. Stop showing up just because she called. Stop making her the center of your world. Second, increase your value. Work on your body. Build your business. Strengthen your mindset. The more you invest in you, the more options you'll naturally have, and that needy energy disappears. Third, set the frame. Instead of chasing her, let her step into your world. You set the tone, decide when you're available, lead calmly and confidently. When you do this, she will feel the shift, because now you're not just another guy seeking her approval. You're the man she's trying to win. And here's where a fresh Stoic insight comes in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you stop trying to control her reactions and focus on your own actions, mission, and path, the script flips naturally, because now you're in your frame and she's drawn to that frame. The key takeaway is that when you stop acting from need and start acting from strength, when you stop trying to win her over and start letting her earn her place in your life, the entire dynamic changes. That's when you become the prize. And then, the moment most guys dream about arrives, she starts to chase. But it doesn't happen the way they think. It's not about saying the perfect line, having the perfect date, or constantly proving your worth. It happens when you flip the entire dynamic the way we've been describing. When you live with strength, walk away when necessary, value your time, and stop chasing. That's when the energy shifts. Suddenly, she's the one wondering, thinking about you when you're not around, reaching out first. And the more you stay grounded in that energy, the more she leans in. Why does she start to chase? Because of one simple truth: desire grows in uncertainty. When something is always there, always available, the mind gets bored. But when something valuable feels just out of reach, when there's mystery and tension, that's when desire takes over. And what makes it even more powerful is that when you're not trying to make her chase, when you're genuinely living your life, focused on your mission and growth, that authenticity is magnetic because she can feel it. She knows you're not sitting by the phone, not waiting for her text, and that independence, that freedom, pulls her in. Now, here's where most guys mess up. The moment she starts chasing, they get too excited, drop all their boundaries, and go right back to the old dynamic. Just like that, attraction fades. So how do you handle it when she starts to chase? Simple. Stay grounded. Appreciate the attention, but don't overreact. Stay focused on your mission. Keep your frame. Let her come to you. When you do, the chase continues because in her mind she's asking, why is he still so calm? Why isn't he more eager? What do I have to do to really win him over? That question is what keeps her coming back. Stoicism teaches us that freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and when you live with true emotional freedom, you become irresistible because you're not chasing any woman. You're simply living as a man of value on your own path. If she fits into that path, great. If not, you're still good. That detachment, that calm strength, is exactly what triggers the chase. Because deep down, every high-quality woman wants to earn a place in the life of a strong man, not be given it too easily. Now let's bring it all together with the concept that the man who can walk away is always desired. Not sometimes, not only when he looks good or says the right thing. Always. Because it's about something deeper than words or looks. It's about emotional freedom. Most men are trapped. Trapped by their desire to be liked, trapped by their fear of losing her, trapped by the need for validation. And when you're trapped, you act like it. You cling, you tolerate behavior that goes against your values, you stay too long in situations that drain you. Women can feel this instantly. They know when you're staying out of fear instead of strength, and that energy kills attraction. But flip it. A man who is free, who can walk away without a second thought if something no longer serves him, that man radiates strength. It says one thing loud and clear: I am whole. I don't need anyone to complete me. And that is rare. That is what draws women in at a level most men will never experience. Think about the men women seem to obsess over. They're the ones who don't need them, who have full lives, deep purpose, high standards, and who are more than willing to walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't align with who they are. It's not an accident, it's human nature. The minute you need someone, you lose leverage. The minute you can take or leave any situation, you become magnetic. Here's a real-world example. You're dating a woman. Things are good, but then she starts pulling away. Cancels plans last minute, gives less energy. Most guys chase harder, text more, try to fix it, and every extra bit of effort lowers their value in her eyes because she can feel they're reacting from fear, not strength. But the man who simply pulls back or walks away calmly sends a completely different message. I will not compete for your attention. I am my own prize. And guess what happens next? She feels it. She notices the gap, and the more he stays grounded, the more she starts to chase. Here's a fresh quote from Seneca. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. When you waste your time clinging to someone who doesn't value you, you're wasting the opportunity to be truly desired. When you let go of attachment, when you no longer need her behavior to validate you, you are free. And that freedom, that ability to walk away, is what makes you desirable, because women, especially high-quality women, want a man who is free inside, a man who chooses them out of genuine desire, not out of need. The only way to embody that is to fully embrace your own path, your own peace, your own purpose. Most guys fear this. They think, if I walk away, she'll forget me. But if a woman forgets you the moment you stop chasing, she was never that into you. And if she is into you, walking away when needed will only amplify her desire, because now she knows this man can't be controlled. She has to earn her place in his life, and that is what triggers true pursuit. Finally, let's talk about emotional detachment, because this piece might be the most powerful of all. Women are emotional creatures. That's not a bad thing. It's their nature. But here's where most men blow it. They get emotionally attached far too fast. They meet a woman, feel a spark, and suddenly she becomes their entire world. Their mood rises and falls based on her texts, her attention, her validation. And women can feel that instantly. When they do, attraction fades, because nothing turns a woman off faster than a man whose emotional state depends on her approval. But flip that. A man who is emotionally detached in the best way is magnetic. Why? Because he's calm, steady, not reacting to her ups and downs, not seeking her validation to feel good about himself. That kind of energy is irresistible. What does emotional detachment actually mean? It's not about being cold or distant, it's about not being emotionally controlled by the outcome. You're not attached to winning her over, not attached to whether she texts back, not attached to whether things work out. You are centered. Your emotional state stays grounded no matter what happens. When you live this way, women feel it. They test you, and you stay calm. They pull away a little, and you remain centered. They come closer, and you welcome it without becoming needy. That creates an incredibly attractive tension, because most women have never experienced a man like this. Most guys lose control the moment a woman shows them attention or takes it away, but the man who doesn't flinch, who remains steady through it all, stands out, because now she can't control him emotionally, and that creates a craving, a desire to figure him out, to pull him closer. Deep down, every feminine woman craves a masculine counterpart who is unshakable. How do you cultivate this level of detachment? First, get clarity on what actually matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Your peace, your value, your happiness. None of that should depend on a woman's attention." The more you internalize this, the less reactive you become. Second, build a life bigger than any one woman. When you're deeply engaged in your mission, your purpose, your growth, no woman can ever become your sole source of happiness, and that naturally creates emotional detachment, because now your life is full with or without her. Third, practice letting go. Let go of attachment to outcomes. Let go of trying to control her responses. Let go of the need for certainty. When you release these things, you become calm, steady, and that's when women find you irresistible. Because when you don't need her emotionally, when you're good either way, she starts thinking, why is he so calm? Why isn't he reacting? What does it take to truly reach this man? And that mystery, that tension, is what keeps her coming back. So if you want to be truly irresistible, master emotional detachment. Not fake indifference, not coldness, but true strength, the kind that says, I'm good no matter what. If you want to be part of this, great. But either way, I remain centered. That's rare, that's powerful, and that's the kind of energy that draws women in again and again. And there you have it. If you truly want to be the kind of man women desire, the kind who never has to chase, this is the path: emotional strength, self-respect, freedom from outcome, and the power to walk away when needed. It's not about manipulation or playing games. It's about becoming a man who is whole, who has his own mission, and who chooses rather than clings. When you embody that, you'll find that women naturally gravitate toward you, not because you try to impress them, but because you are genuinely impressive. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Inner stability is the foundation of outer influence. As Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That means letting go of the need to be liked, letting go of the need to win approval, and focusing instead on becoming the best version of yourself. When you do that, you become a man of such quiet power that women can't help but notice. So take these principles and live them, not as techniques, but as truths. Build your life, hold your frame, and never forget that your value does not depend on any woman's validation. When you master that, you'll never have to chase again. She'll come to you because you've become the prize. If you found value in this message, share it with a brother who needs to hear it, and continue walking this path of strength and self-mastery. The journey is lifelong, but every step makes you more of the man you were meant to be. Stay strong, stay grounded, and I'll see you on the next one.